You think dinosaurs were killed by the impact? Wrong. What actually killed them was something far more terrifying. 10,000 times worse than the collision. Dinosaurs didn't die just once. They died 3 times. The first death took only 1 second, the second death lasted 3 days. The third death stretched on for 30,000 years, and what's even more terrifying is this. If you were a dinosaur, you had absolutely no choice in how you died. Within 1,000 kilometers of the impact zone, you would be vaporized instantly. No time to even feel pain. 2,000 kilometers out. Your eyeballs would be burned through by the blinding flash. Then you'd be slowly roasted alive in total darkness. 5,000 kilometers away, you would watch fire rain down from the sky. Watch your companions fall one by one. And finally starve to death in temperatures dozens of degrees below zero. In an endless night, by the time the last dinosaur died, the first dinosaur had already been dead for tens of thousands of years. What does that tell us? They didn't go extinct in an instant, they were ground down slowly. By a catastrophe that dragged on for tens of thousands of years. Today we're going to talk about that slow, agonizing death that lasted 30,000 years. Let's turn back the clock to 66 million years ago, the Cretaceous period. This was one of the most thriving eras in Earth's history. Back then, Earth had no winters, no polar ice caps, lush forests teeming with life stretched across the land. Life flourished everywhere, free, wild, ancient. You could see herds of triceratops roaming across the open plains. Pterosaurs gliding through the sky, T-Rex standing its ground on the terrain. It was a world brutal to its core, yet perfectly balanced. But all of this was set on a countdown the moment a rock entered our solar system, and the clock started ticking. It came from beyond Jupiter's orbit, a carbonaceous asteroid. Drifting through space for hundreds of millions of years. Until Jupiter's gravity gave it a hard kick. And it came hurtling forward, straight toward Earth, 10 kilometers in diameter. About the size of Mount Everest, flying sideways, moving at 20 kilometers per second. 60 times faster than a bullet, 58 times faster than sound, from Beijing to Shanghai. It could cover that distance in under a minute. And the dinosaurs on Earth had absolutely no idea. Sauropods moved slowly along the mountain base, herds of hadrosaurs crossed the rivers. Early birds attempted their first flights, the sun was warm, the breeze was gentle. Life was peaceful and good, eating when hungry, drinking when thirsty. Not a single creature was aware that death had already entered Earth's vicinity. 20 minutes before impact. A light appeared on the horizon. At first it was faint, like a bright star, but it kept growing larger and brighter. Expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye, the color of the sky began to shift. From deep blue to an eerie, blood-soaked red, birds suddenly grew restless. Flapping their wings and scattering in all directions, the dinosaurs stopped in their tracks. Stretching their long necks toward the sky, they sensed something. But they couldn't understand what it was. 60 seconds before impact. That light had grown too intense to look at directly, brighter than 1,000 suns combined. And then some. The entire sky turned a blinding white. Dinosaurs hundreds of miles away had their eyes seared by the intense flash. The proteins in their retinas solidified instantly. They went blind on the spot. They couldn't see a thing, they could only feel a massive wave of heat closing in from all directions. 3 seconds before impact, the asteroid tore through the atmosphere, dragging behind it a blazing tail longer than the entire sky. The air was violently compressed, temperatures spiked to tens of thousands of degrees. This moment lasted only less than the blink of an eye, and then, boom, but even that word is far too small. Human language simply cannot find any words to describe that instant. The asteroid, traveling at speeds exceeding 70,000 kilometers per hour, slammed into the shallow coastal waters off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The energy released by the impact was equivalent to more than 1 billion tons of TNT detonating simultaneously. That number is almost impossible to grasp. Let me put it in perspective. The most powerful nuclear bomb ever built by humanity, the Tsar Bomba, had a blast yield of 50 megatons. Which means, the force of this impact was equivalent to 2 million Tsar Bombas going off at the same time. 0.1 second after impact, within a 500-kilometer radius, all life was instantly vaporized, not burned, vaporized, vaporized. No bodies, no bones, not even organic molecules survived. But these creatures were actually the lucky ones, because from the moment light enters your eyes to the moment your brain registers fear, takes 0.2 seconds. But they only lived for 0.1 second, clean and instant, no suffering whatsoever. 1 second after impact, the Earth was torn apart like tofu, a crater 180 kilometers wide and 20 kilometers deep. Formed in an instant. To put that in perspective, drop the entire city of Beijing into it, and it wouldn't even touch the sides. The seawater was vaporized before it could even rush in. 330,000 cubic kilometers of rock were blasted 160 kilometers into the sky, and those rocks would rain back down to the surface over the next few hours as a storm of fire. 5 seconds after impact, the shockwave was already spreading outward at supersonic speed. Within 1,000 kilometers, temperatures instantly spiked to 1,500 degrees, which means the dinosaurs in this zone weren't burned to death. They were carbonized on the spot. Their skin, their muscles, their organs all turned to black carbon within seconds. Some dinosaurs were frozen forever in their final pose, mouths wide open, as if trying to let out a roar, but before the sound could escape, they had already become charred black sculptures. 2 minutes after impact, 1,500 kilometers away. Dinosaurs here saw the white flash on the horizon, felt the earth shaking violently beneath them. Before they could even turn to run, the shockwave hit. Wind speeds exceeding 1,000 kilometers per hour. 100 times more powerful than any hurricane, 30-ton dinosaurs were tossed like toys. Hurled high into the air.